You're listening to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast.
We are back. That's right. We talk off Monday, and we might take off every Monday in July, right, Roof?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yep. That felt nice. Welcome back to the Gettin Salty Experience podcast, the only one that brings the firehouse kitchen table, for that matter, the apparatus floor, the bunk room, the TV room, right to you. Right? Not just the kitchen table. We bring it all, bro. Bring it all. We bring it up to Greenwood Lake, too. That's where Louis is right now, up in Greenwood Lake.
Why would you blow up a spot like that?
Oh, look at that, man. That's like a little piece of heaven, a little slice of heaven there, Roof.
Sunshine, a boat, pure green grass.
Oh, right on the water, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Right on the water, kid.
What'd you rent, like the whole neighborhood? So they keep everybody away? With that kind of money, Mike, I guarantee he might have rented the whole Greenwood Lake, I'm thinking.
Oh, remember, this was a former Wall Street guy. Listen, he knows his thing.
I know it. I know it, bro. And what happened? Your mother-in-law came up, right? What'd she bring? The meatballs? What'd she make tonight?
The gravy.
Eggplant rollatini.
Eggplant rollatini. She brought the sauce or she made the sauce? You
No,
brought
we
the
make
jarred
the
sauce.
Every 2 years we make sauce.
So she had it in the jars, right? You showed me how to do that. I'm going to do it myself. She brought it up. She made the eggplant rollatini with a little pasta with it too. What?
Yeah, not too many people eat pasta anymore. I'm like, me and my brother are the only ones. Nobody else eats pasta. It's like,
What'd you have? What kind of pasta did you have?
linguine.
A little linguine.
We had
with the
burgers,
rollatini.
a couple of burgers and ribs and stuff too.
Holy, living high on the hog there, Mikey Cologne, isn't it? God bless America.
It's a beautiful
Best
life.
country in the world. It really is.
Beautiful life.
He earned it, though.
He did.
It said.
He did. Absolutely.
We actually were talking about.
How's our show doing, Mikey?
Well, we're as I was saying when we were off the air, we're past 2,500 views, so almost 3,000 views already for our episode, volume 39 of the Best of the Bravest interviews with the FD and Wisely on a little
People
podcast.
have no idea what they're doing.
What'd you have to pay him, Mike? Finally, how'd you get him on the show? You had to give him some money or something?
We're paying him in spurts. You know, a down payment was put down, so by the end of the year, I'm thinking I'll have it paid off. Hopefully,
he's smart. He knows. He knows how to do it. Yeah.
Indeed,
he's smart. I was just going to say something else here. I forgot. Oh, so I told these guys. So I go to the Yankee game last night, right? The whole family. I take my wife, the kids, one of my son's friends. Game's over. I go to take a piss, right? There's 8,000 guys in the bathroom. I look to my right, and there's a guy giving me this hairy eyeball, right? He's fucking, I'm like, this guy has to watch the show, bro. I'm not done washing my hands. He comes over, dude, I watched the show on from Orlando. Great show, man. I love it. He goes, so I go, thanks, bro. I really appreciate it. Blah, blah, blah. I go outside. He's like, dude, can I take a selfie with you? I want to send it to the guys. I should have got the guy's name. That's my bad, bro. I look out of the corner of my eye. Well, my wife's doing this. Oh, my God.
Well, didn't you walk into a movie theater the other day? You were telling us.
Yeah, I went to the movies last week. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. I tell you.
He's a big shot now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not that famous, so I can't say that's ever happened to me.
I'll trade the fame for Rafrano's money any day of the week. I can tell you that much.
That's
what I mean. Fame only goes so far, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So we're off every Monday this month. I think next Thursday we got. I don't know who we got next Thursday. Is it Timmy?
Who?
Our former lieutenant. Tim
Kelly? The 20. He's the 20th, I think.
Oh, you're right. I don't know
Right,
who
so
we got.
well, 2 weeks away. There you go. Advanced advertisement.
I don't know. I have the whole month is filled up.
We got good guys for the month of July. So I'll
I
let you
got the
know.
90-year-old guy from 17 Truck.
Oh, that's right, bro. 90 years old. He's got to have some old stories, man.
That should be good.
God bless it. I hope he makes it.
We'll hit him with that line, of course.
Thank God we got
John.
Where's the rest of the family? You made them stay outside?
I'm up. They're all downstairs in the yard, in the base, and in the first floor. I'm upstairs.
Oh.
What do you do? You want how are we going to do a podcast if you could hear my mother-in-law screaming in the background in Italian?
Right. Does she bring like the Mariana half shell with her? Or no, she don't bring that with her. She leaves it. You got to put one in the house to bless the whole house, right?
Come with a couple. She had a couple of tiny loaves of bread. She had. She brings a lot of prosciutto, all that stuff. She had.
She's off the boat, Italian.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
If you talk to her, you know by first 5 seconds. I say that to my mother-in-law all the time. I said, have you been in this country for like 30 years? I still can barely understand you. Do you listen to the English language or what are you doing?
Lou, you're my favorite son-in-law.
Oh, man.
Mom, your only son-in-law. That's why you're my favorite.
Maybe your father-in-law told you, hey, Louis, don't be a poop-poop party. You mean a party
What the hell
pooper?
you
Yeah, the
call it?
poop party.
Yeah, party pooper.
Excellent. All right, Mike, let's do some commercials. Then we want to get in briefly before we bring in our guest. We have to mention the guys in Newark with that shipboard firefighting. It was terrible.
Mm-hmm. All right. So, of course, we'll go through our 3 sponsors tonight. There's including this best one. I think he's the best one. Now, this guy's very talented. I know him personally. I can vouch for him. He's got a show of his own, by the way, and he's got his own consulting company. Need advice on how to start your podcast? Frustrated with the editing process? Can't find a voiceover guy? Hi, I'm Mike Colon, and I'm here to help. I'm the owner and founder of MC Media Editing Services, your premier consulting company for all things media, where I can offer you consulting advice on how to get started, and once you get started, editing, as well as voiceover work, all for a very reasonable price. If you want to reach me, you can contact me at 917-781-6189 or the email that you see listed here. I'm always available, and I'm always willing to help. Again, 917-781-6189. Why go to some giant consulting firm that's going to charge you an arm and a leg when you can just come to me? If you want to be stress-free, the way to go is to call MC. MC Media Editing Services, your premier consulting company.
Nice.
Nice indeed. And now, of course, for a word from our friends over at ArmorTough.
ArmorTough interlocking floor tiles are the best choice to replace new or aging, stained, or cracked concrete or epoxy floors. Here's why. ArmorTough tiles come with a lifetime warranty and are usually installed in 1 or 2 days, depending on the size of your station, with virtually no disruption in daily operation. ArmorTough interlocking tiles are guaranteed from chipping, cracking, peeling, breaking, or staining. Once installed, the tiles are non-skid and non-slip and meet the ADA standards for the friction coefficient. The tiles are stain resistant and impervious to any chemicals or volatiles that are used in the fire service. Once installed, your floor will be easy to clean with just soap and water. Install an ArmorTough tile floor in your apparatus bays, offices, training rooms, workshops, exercise rooms, kitchens, banquet halls, or any other room in your station. Call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697. Why install a breakable epoxy floor that will need replacing in 5 to 10 years when you could have a floor that will last a lifetime? Drop a halogen on an ArmorTough floor and you won't see any damage. Don't try this with concrete or epoxy. Join the hundreds of career and volunteer fire departments nationwide who have chosen an ArmorTough interlocking tile floor. ArmorTough interlocking tiles are half the price of epoxy and will last a lifetime without issue. Again, call Vince today for a no-obligation quote at 908-917-7697.
Wonderful.
Indeed. And last but certainly not least, a word from our friends over at FRCE. The First Responders Center for Excellence is a not-for-profit organization dedicated to protecting the lives and livelihoods of first responders. Their education and research initiatives aim to bring greater awareness and understanding to the challenges to the health, safety, and well-being of firefighters, EMS personnel, and other first responders too. They are an affiliate of the National Fallen Firefighter Foundation.
Nice. And the old school health and safety tip for today is number 24, believe it or not. Believe it? Use your SCBA during overhaul. Your future self will thank you for the actions you take today. Mm-hmm. That goes for car fires. Corrado used to wear car fires, and people used to make fun of him, right? But I tell you, the shit that comes off the cars, even doing overhaul, bro, it's not the same stuff that used to breathe years ago. It's not wood, it's plastics, it's all that other crap. So don't be a tough guy. Use your SCBA. Collect your pension for a long time, and that is that. All right. That's it. Let's bring our guest in.
All right.
Bring him in, kid.
Sure.
Mike, you do the honors. He's your boss, isn't he?
Well, he's I have many bosses at the firehouse, but he's somebody I work alongside. Doesn't feel like a boss, and I mean that as a compliment. Ladies and gentlemen, out of the West Haven, Connecticut Fire Department, our department historian, retired Lieutenant Bill Heffernan.
There he is, bro.
Hey there, Bill.
Living the dream in his Hawaiian shirt, bro. You know what I'm saying? Aruba, Jamaica. Ooh, I want to take it, Bill. To Baru.
Wait, as soon as you retire, that's the first thing you put on is that shirt.
I asked him flip flops. Oh, he does wear flip flops. Where's your margarita? You got one there next to you?
My Gatorade.
Gatorade.
Can I say Gatorade? Nice
And Ruffy's
sponsor.
got Gatorade too. You're not drinking tonight, Ruff?
Mm-mm.
What
Yeah, stay
happened?
hydrated in this heat.
Drinking a lot, yeah.
You've been drinking a lot?
Yeah.
I haven't, so I'll do drinking for the both of you. How do you like that?
Excellent.
Fair enough.
All right, before we get into it, I know the guys have been asking for it. Let's do the right thing here. Let's give the 5 bells for the 2 guys that we lost in Newark. If you can bring up their pictures, Mike.
Mm-hmm.
Rest in peace, brothers. We say this all the time. This job can humble you in a second, man. Be careful, please.
You know what'll humble you? Going into a ship. That'll humble you.
Yeah.
That's like a floating subcellar, bro. I'm out, bro. We took that maritime, that shipboard firefighting in maritime. That was one of the hardest classes I think we ever took, man. I am out. OUT, out.
You know, after I woke up this morning, I was watching that. I was just asking Kevin in the pre-show. I remembered it, and I had forgot all about it. I had gone to, they had a ship fire in Staten Island. I think it was in Staten Island, and we went as a squad to support. And the fire was out. It was all cars. It wasn't multiple floors. I don't think, maybe just 2 floors. But we had to go down to the bottom, right, to the hull, I guess. And when I got there, the chief said, you know, most of it's out. Do me a favor, you know, keep your meter on. Do this, do that. And we're just doing a secondary. And when we got down there, it was pitch black. Everything was full of oil. I mean, I cannot tell you about the oil, right? You could not even. The cars were front to rear. There had to be, I don't know, 100 of them on this level. And then they were side to side, just enough that you could barely walk through there. And a lot of times they were too close. You had to jump up on the car, and everything was full of oil. I couldn't even explain it to what it really looked like. And everything was off steaming, and it was just a mess. And I remember we didn't have our mask on. I'm thinking about that now. I'm like, we were slipping all over the place, walking over the hoods of the car. And I was just like, it had to be, I can't imagine like going down into there if the fire was actually still happening. You know what I mean? Like, there was one way in, one way out.
That nasty smoke from a car fire, bro. It's out. Oh, I think we have a picture of the vessel, right, Mike?
Yeah, let's pull that up. I mean, and it was so bad, actually, that the FDNY had to send, amongst other units, Rescue 5 and Squad 8 from Staten Island to go assist on a mutual aid. And here's that boat, just to give you an idea of how serious this was. You can see an FDNY Marine unit there in the foreground. This was an extremely serious fire that unfortunately had very tragic consequences.
It's got to be like 10 stories there, right? Or 20, 15,
at least.
Whatever it is. Yeah, to go down in there. You know, I had heard that somebody had, guys were texting me and stuff that, they sent other rescue companies from other cities, I guess in Jersey or whatever. And, those guys were running into trouble and giving maydays. So that's as real as it gets. And unfortunately, I think there's some other guys that are in serious critical situation there too. So hopefully, they come out of this thing. But
yeah.
Right.
That's a scary fire, man. That's scary stuff.
And these 2 guys, just to pull up their picture one more time, they're both, the ages respectively on
almost
firefighter.
50. Yeah.
Exactly. Mr. Firefighter Brooks was almost 50, and firefighter Akobo, I hope I'm saying his last name correctly. If I don't, I apologize sincerely, was about 45. So you can have a lot of, as I'm preaching to the choir here with the 3 of you, you can have a lot of time on the job. It doesn't matter. A situation like that, experience goes out the window. And unfortunately, if the circumstances are that dire, doesn't matter who you are, it'll kill you.
Yep.
Listen, from the spot you go in, that's clear. When you go straight down into, a hatch or a stairway or whatever, you the only thing you could take is a search rope, right? And that only goes so far. And if that gets jammed up, or if it gets fouled up,
it gets snagged on anything.
Snagged on, and it's gone.
There.
It's not an if. It's gone. Get snagged up. You're not going to be able to find it. It's going to slip out of your hand. It's going to get tangled up. It's the worst case scenario, man. It really is it's just very, very difficult. I mean, the fact that the thing was even, I don't even know if it's out. If this put it out, I don't even know.
But, Mike, before we start talking about my man Bill here, we got to give the word of the day that Gonzo fucking blabbed out.
I'm trying to see. Let me see if I could find it here, because it wasn't typed up in the banner earlier. Hopefully it is now, and I apologize.
And I'll tell you why we came up with this word of the day.
I'm looking for it here. My God, where is it? Where did you put it, Gonzo? Here we go. Word of the day is Silly Willy.
And the only reason I said that is because oh, he changed it to Bill. You son of a gun! You changed it to Bill. He came in and said, "It's William." I said, "What do you prefer to be called, William or Bill?" He said, you can call me Bill." I said, "Don't worry. By the end of this show, I'm drinking so much, I'll be silly. I'll be calling you Willie." Silly Willie is his name, bro. Well, thanks. You know what? I'm remiss here, Mike. Before we go any further, we start talking to Mr. Bill. We got to do the pledge, please.
All right, here we go.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Excellent. All right, Mr. Bill. So you've been in the fire service quite a long time. You joined West Haven Hook and Ladder Company, number one, as a volunteer in '82. Give us a little of your early days background. Where you're from? Why'd you start? What attracted you to the fire service? Did you have family in there? Whatever.
Well, I was born and raised in West Haven, Connecticut. And when I graduated from high school, my father told me, and I quote, "Don't be an asshole, join the fire department."
I think I did that with my son.
I didn't do that. My father was a volunteer at West Haven Hook and Ladder. It's kind of funny. My father-in-law was deputy chief of my department long before I got on. And I have a picture from 1957. All the guys out in front of the firehouse, and my father and my father-in-law are standing right next to each other before either my wife or I were even born.
Oh, that's cool. Well, you didn't send that one? Oh, you should have sent that one.
Yeah.
So they knew each other. Right?
Oh, yeah.
He was his boss, basically. He was the deputy. And
So
your father
I joined Hook and Ladder in '82. It's shortly after I got out of high school. And, guys from my generation, we did a lot of drinking and card playing, and then they tricked you and they made you wash the apparatus and train and fight fires afterwards. But it was still is. It's a great company, very social. All the guys know each other. The funny story is my father was a school teacher, and when he was younger and in Hook and Ladder, the chief would come down and he'd say, "Listen, who wants to be a firefighter? We need guys on the paid department." And he said, "Well, for $3,800 a year, I could be a firefighter, or for $4,000, I could be a teacher, have weekends and summers off." So he became a teacher.
Hey, you make a bad choice.
Right? $200 a year, it's like
the summer's off though. That's alluring, bro.
Yeah, that's all right.
That's what did he teach? High school, grammar school?
Yeah, high school. He was a history teacher, coincidentally.
Oh shit, that's what I was gonna be, Bill. I was going to school to be a history teacher, and then the fire department called. I went the other way though.
Yeah. I hung around for a while, and I didn't get on I was one of the old guys when I got on. I was 29. Doesn't
what were
sound
you doing
old
before
now,
that?
40-year-old guys.
What were you doing before that?
What's that?
What were you doing before that? In the meantime,
I worked at a carpet company. I was an iron worker. I was tenant bar, and we have a main street in our town called Campbell Avenue. We're a small town, about 50,000 people. There's about 30 bars on it. So we always say, "Where are you?" We're out on the avenue, And my current chief and I got on the job together, and we knew each other. We were both bartenders, and he was 34 when we got on. And we said, we're kind of getting old. We better get a real job. So we joined the fire department. But back then, we took a test against 700 guys. It was quite competitive. It's a little different these days. You get your paramedic, and they're dying for guys to come on the job.
Well, on the paid job?
What's that?
They can't get guys to come on the paid job?
No.
Really?
Listen, you put a test out, you got 20 people taking. It's
how many guys are on the fire department?
My department, I got 56.
56 guys, but you have volleys too, right? And they work with you?
Yeah. When the stations are manned, it's we don't have half the volleys that we used to have. It's volunteerism's down too. It's no one has time to do it. No one wants to.
Yeah, that's across the country that's happening.
Yeah, no, it's not just us, man.
I don't understand, but the paid. Why guys wouldn't want to be a paid fireman? I don't understand that.
So we have guys quit.
Quitting?
Never heard of a guy quitting the fire department before.
No.
Cologne.
Maybe he
get
didn't
your
feel.
application ready, Cologne.
Yeah, maybe he's in the gym, right? Put a couple more pounds on. Let's get him on the job.
That's all.
I'm getting paid a decent salary to not run into a burning building, and on top of that, I'm also a complete doofus. So you don't want me as a fireman.
Doofus? I haven't heard that a lot. That's not even your generation, doofus.
Listen, Mike, you got to remember, firemen are crazy. Not because we run into burning buildings when everyone's running out, but because we like to.
Exactly.
I never heard that spin.
Crazy. I can teach anybody to run into a burning building. We like running.
That is very true. I can't believe they can't get. I'm gonna say, how far is that from Long Island? I'll get my son over there.
About 20 miles if you go across the water.
That's it.
If you take the ferry.
Mike, is that the pizza capital over there?
Yes.
No, we're adjacent to the Pizza Capital. Pizza Capital, of course, being New Haven. We're in West Haven.
I don't know. I would put a couple West Haven's pizza places.
What makes them the pizza capital?
Dude, they got great pizza there, old school.
Because we have nothing else. We're sandwiched between New York and Boston. Let us have at least one thing.
I don't know. I'm just asking. That's all.
They got Sally Abitz over there. They got
Sally's and Peppies. West Haven's got Mike's and Zupardi's. There we go.
Yep, that's true.
We are we're the capital, the pizza capital world.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And now you know who wants to put an end to that? This guy right here. Hold on a minute. Where is it?
Come on, man.
No more pizza.
No more coal. No more coal.
No more coal.
No more pizza.
You could do a little sniffer in the White House, but you can't have coal pizza.
Well, folks, it's been a great podcast. We'd like to thank you all for watching this evening.
Listen, but you can't make no pizza, all right?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Neither do I.
The guy with a Hawaiian shirt on. I like it. But he's drinking Gatorade. I don't know. All right, so how many companies are there in New Haven?
West Haven?
Oh, West Haven. Right, I'm sorry. My bad.
Well, in my district, we've got 2 engines, 2 rescues, and a truck.
So you have 2 engines, 2 rescues, and truck. What's the truck? The truck one is a volley company, right?
No, that hook and ladder is separate. I'm just talking about the paid guys.
Oh, okay. So what do they have? What kind of truck are they riding?
What's the new truck they just got, Mike? It's the Suffin.
Yeah, we had. Yeah, it's a
Rear-mount?
It's truck 22. The exact brand, I can't recall.
I don't need the brand. What is it? A rear mount or a?
Yeah, I think it's a rear mount.
Right?
Yep, there you go. Rear mount with the bucket. Yeah, we just got it not too long ago, and it's a beautiful rig. And the rescues, for context for the audience out there, it's not rescues like, for example, in New York, a rescue company. We call our ambulance or our medical units rescues. So those are housed with us alongside an engine. Yeah, medical unit. There you go.
We got a fireboat. Nothing like yours. It's
What do you guys run? Majority of medical calls? Do you do a decent amount of?
Our bread and butter is medicals now. Unfortunately, I shouldn't say unfortunately. It's what keeps everybody employed. But we still have our share of fires and the regular stuff, rescues and whatnot.
So if it goes to a second alarm or something like that, you get in mutual aid from somebody.
We have automatic mutual aid. West Haven's kind of unique. We have 3 separate fire districts in one town. We're only 10 square miles, so we pull units from the other 2 districts automatically. If we get a working fire, we'll automatically get an engine, another truck, and then we call for a second or third after that.
So on the paid, how many guys are riding on the rigs?
You have 4 guys on the engine, 4 guys on the truck. 2 of those guys will jump onto the medical unit, depending on if there's a second medical call. 2 guys on there's 3 guys on the second engine and 2 guys on another medical unit. So you got 12 guys on the shift.
So it's 12 guys on the shift. So it's 4, including the officer and the driver.
Yeah.
I tell you, Ruffy, every time I hear that, I'm like, these guys are doing it with less, man. Because we're beating the shit out of it with manpower, and these guys are showing up with fucking an officer, some guy manning the pump, and 2 other guys.
Listen, up until recently, I worked in the outstation. I had my own engine company. It was me and my driver. That's it.
What?
First due. That was it.
What? You and your driver?
First due.
So you're stretching, and you got the line, basically. And where is this?
West Haven, Connecticut, right near New Haven.
What kind of buildings do you have primarily there, Bill?
3-story woods. we've got some apartment buildings, probably 4 stories, a couple hundred units in some of them. But our
Somebody
bread and
said-
butter is a 3-story wood.
Somebody wants to know, didn't West Haven have a line of duty death this year?
Line of duty?
That's what somebody said. Noah. Maybe he's confused.
No,
No?
we
New
had
Haven had a line of duty last year. North Haven.
yeah,
North
yeah,
Haven
North
a
Haven
line
had
of
a
duty.
line of
So-
duty. We had a
so
volunteer
Noah-
captain pass away recently.
Right. Noah, that would be Noah.
North Haven had line of duty death.
Yeah,
I got
Maddie
you.
works.
All right, so you get on paid in what year? 93.
93, yeah.
Back in 93.
That's what I got.
Oh, look at you guys sharing that in common.
Got that
And
anniversary.
so but you have what? Two, how many stations do you have? One? Everybody's
2.
at one station? 2.
Yeah, we got
So-
headquarters that runs an engine, a truck, and the 2 rescue units, and then we have the outstation that runs one engine company.
Oh, that's what you said before, the outstation, where it was you and one other guy.
Yeah, there's 3 guys now.
I want to work in the outstation.
Ah, dude, I want to work in the outstation too.
Job in the
Man.
world, man.
Nobody bothering you. There's only how many
Oh,
guys
yeah.
there? There's only 2. Like, who's in
Three
the
now.
firehouse? You and another guy?
That's 5, right, Bill? That's
Now
5.
there's 3 up there. Right?
What's that?
There's 3 of them now. They put a 3rd guy on.
Yeah, now,
yeah.
but before it was just you and another guy?
That was it. Just a 2.
Wow.
Freaking
Candlelit
awesome.
dinners, or what are you guys
Oh,
doing
yeah.
over there? I don't know.
A lot of
Very
spooning
intimate,
went
right?
on in there. A lot of
How
spooning.
big is the firehouse if there's only 2 of you guys?
2 bays. It's a typical. It's got a hall upstairs. The typical New England firehouse.
Oh,
I'll tell you
wow.
right now, I'm taking it back, Cougs. Remember we always said, where would you rather work? If you didn't work in the FDNY?
The outhouse.
I always
The
say
outstation.
Detroit. I'm saying
Outhouse.
I'm working in West Haven, the outhouse, bro.
I want to be
That's
in the outhouse, bro. You know what I mean? But the only thing is you can't break anybody's balls. You got to break your own balls.
That's all right. I'm good at that too. Don't worry.
Yeah. You and the
I
other
like
guys.
you.
I
I
don't like
got a
you.
harmed way up there. No chiefs, no Indians up there. Just us.
Oh, I
Just the 2 of us.
freaking love it.
So it's just an officer and a dude who drives, right?
Yeah.
So you pull up first, dude. You are it.
You
like,
got
how-
it, baby.
Oh, that's incredible, bro. That
Yeah,
might
so
be
we
the
got-
best job
We
in the
finally
world.
got a 3rd man. They made him a paramedic so we could do more medicals up there. And
But you don't have a bus in there though, right? You just have an
No.
engine.
we just go in the engine. But
That's
Mike's,
even better now. Now you got 3 guys, right? At least there's somebody else to talk to in case the other guy pisses you off, right? You can talk to the other guy.
my chauffeur went out with a rotator cuff. So I trained a new guy, and he's driving, and he's a new driver. He's up there in the outstation with me. We got our own response area, and Mike's captain Jacob Urban was my pipe guy. He was the paramedic. He's in the jump seat, and we got this apartment on fire. Bad job in the basement, black smoke, people throwing babies out the window, all kinds of stuff. And we're on the way there, and I'm trying to tell the guy who was driving, slow down a little bit, don't kill us before we get there, because he never pumped a job before. And then I realized there was this dead silence in the back seat, and I said, Jacob, are you back there? He says, yup. I said, did you ever on a pipe for a job? He goes, I think I had a pot on the stove once. I said, great.
So you got a guy who can't pump.
I
a guy who never had the
pumper
pipe.
never pumped. I got my pipe man has never put a fire. But we
He had
did
the look,
fine.
is what
We
you're
drove
saying.
right
He
in
had
there
the
and
look.
did the job, yeah. So everything worked out for the best. But I'm like, what else could go wrong?
Yeah.
He had the look.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he was quiet back there.
Oh, I thought we left him behind. I realized that we're making any noise. Gotta be something going on.
Let me not laugh too much, because I still want to have a job tomorrow. So
He was shitting
Oh,
himself
you're
in the
fine.
back.
You're with me, kid. That's everyone loved working with me because they can never get in any trouble. It was always me.
And was
Fair
you
enough.
getting in trouble?
I was known to get in trouble now and again.
That's another road of trouble, bro. You know what I mean? So what do you do up there now that you know Mike? Because you're retired now. So what are you still doing?
I am the department historian, so I still maintain my office across the street from headquarters. And Mike, luckily, is our digital media specialist. Since I don't know how to do any of that stuff, I give him all my stuff and say,
Digital media.
shoot this out on all the social media, put it on Instagram and Facebook, and he takes care of all that stuff for me.
Digital media expert.
Specialist.
I even have a business card.
Specialist. Wow.
Yeah.
And how'd you find Mike anyway?
I don't know. The department hired him. I was very happy. I heard that. I'm like,
You
holy
see where
cow.
I'm going with this, Roof?
Getting salty.
What? Oh man, yeah. Yeah.
That's funny.
He's a good kid.
He ain't
He's
lying.
the best. He ain't lying. What do you do as the historian now?
I keep track of all the history. I am.
Wait a minute, is that a paid job?
No, should be.
Oh god damn it! I was gonna say this guy might be the luckiest guy in the world, bro.
First the outhouse, now
The outhouse and now paid historian.
Ah. And a technical advisor on a popular TV show. Who's better than me?
We're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to that.
That's where the bread comes in, bro.
Yeah.
I want to backtrack a little bit, bro. So, where do you meet your wife, and how do you make that connection that your father and her father worked?
I met my wife at an Irish Woman of the Year award, or Irish Men of the Year award at the Knights of Columbus. Actually, I'd known her since we were little kids, but the first time I asked her out on a date, they were honoring my grandmother, who was Irish Woman of the Year, and I'm standing in the corner with my cousin Kevin and my brother Danny, and I said, "Hey, look at that girl in a green dress. It's one of you two guys should go ask her to dance." Like, "Oh, we're not doing that." I said, "Oh, come on, what's wrong with you? What are you, gay or something? Go out there, go get her." They're like, "We're not doing that." I said, "If you don't dance with her, I will." And I did. And I'm still dancing with her now, 31 years later.
Look at you. Look at you.
And he tried to give it up to him, they didn't have
I
to
tried
stand.
to push him in the right direction. It's being the older brother and the older cousin. I figured I'd try to give him a little of my.
So an
vast
Irishman married an
experience.
Irish woman, and they were the Irish Woman of the Year. Who is that? Within you, he's got a whole bunch of awards here, bro. It's like 2 pages long. Crying out loud.
He's probably the Irishman of the Year too.
West Haven Elks Firefighter of the Year, Secretary of State Public Service A Award, Charles Davis Outstanding Community Service. So I would imagine that you're very active in your community.
Yes.
Unit citation.
When did you catch your first job? When you first got on the job? How long did it take you to go to your first job?
Well, it's kind of funny because 4 of us got on. There's 4 shifts. And I said, as long as I don't get on this certain shift, I'll be okay, because I got like 6 weddings and all this stuff, and they all fell right there. And of course, that was the shift I got on. So my friend Jim O'Brien, who's now the chief, he and I were rookies. I'd swap with him all the time. I'd listen, can you work Saturday? I got so-and-so's wedding. And every time I did that, he caught a job. So it took me a long time before I actually got one.
He was the
black
cloud.
He was the black cloud, bro.
Yeah.
And Silly Willie was the Silly Willie. Oh,
For the day.
I was gonna say there's if you miss a job when it's not your tour, that's one thing. But if you mutual out of a tour and somebody catches a job, I don't think there's anything worse than that.
That hurts for a while, bro. That hurts for a while.
Chomping at the bit, you want to get in there, and he's
especially forget about when you're first starting out, like you are, definitely that, and then to give it to your friend who came on with you, and he's going, "Yeah, dude, I just had 3 jobs thanks to you." You're just like, "Oh my god, I want to put a fork in my eyeball."
Hey, do you need off Saturday night? I'll work for you again. Yeah, no problem. I'm available. Now, you guys, when you go in that night, so if you're working in the house that has the engine and the ladder, you working in the ladder, or you going wherever they tell you to go that night?
Wherever the captain assigns you.
Oh, what did you prefer?
I loved working on the ladder. I like driving the ladder. We used to fight over it because, a lot of times you get an older guy, one of the senior men, that's his spot. You don't like when I got on. My friend Tommy was the ladder driver. You never had a chance. As long as he was at work, you weren't driving that thing. No one drove but him.
Right.
And then when he went on vacation, like me and Jimmy, we'd arm wrestle. I want to drive. You drove it the last time. But that's where we always like to be. And of course, the guys. They like being what they call on the pipe. They're sitting behind the captain on the engine when we started.
Right.
You're the guy who goes in with the line. So.
Do you have an officer on the engine and the ladder, or just one officer for that shift?
Captain. When I started, the captain was on the engine, and the lieutenant was on the truck.
Oh, okay,
and,
so you have 2 officers.
That around now. The lieutenant is on the engine, the captain's on the truck.
Really? Why'd they make the switch?
I don't know. I think because the truck goes out less. So the captain kind of poked seniority. Yeah.
Huh, it's one of them.
So you really know everybody in the department. I mean, just from growing up in that, everybody's from West Haven, right? There's nobody.
Well, it used to be that way, yeah. And now there's a lot of guys from out of town. It was kind of funny. You talked about Long Island before. We used to have residency years ago. You had to live in West Haven to work there, and they said, well, you can't do that. It's against the Constitution or something. So they said, well, what you do is you can't have residency, but you can do as the crow flies. You can live so many miles away. So my chief put in a contract, 20 or 25 miles. I forget what it was, radius. And I said, you better change that to be in the state of Connecticut, because from where we are, if you make a circle, it's 20 miles big. You hit Long
You're in New
Island.
York. Yeah.
You go right across the Sound. We're right on Long Island Sound.
There's a couple of guys in the chat saying hello to you. John Pizzega, Lieutenant.
Pizzega.
Thanks for doing the
Andy
podcast.
Bennett's uncle. Hey, John.
Who else? There's a couple of guys I saw.
Yeah, try to find all. It's kind of hard to keep a track of the chat and this at the same time. But to those guys that pop in, I'll try to get them in. And thanks, guys, for watching tonight. So far, so good. Nothing consequential yet.
Yeah.
How far did you live from the firehouse when you first got on the job?
About 3 blocks.
Walking distance.
Walking distance.
It was
That's
funny
great.
because when I got transferred to the outstation, I gave my chief Jimmy a little shit, and I said, you just doubled my commute. It's like a whole mile now.
Now, if you had your choice, would you go back to the outstation? Would you go to the bigger firehouse?
Absolutely.
Outstation is the one, right? Roof.
I always told him, listen, lieutenant's the best job in the department, and lieutenant at Engine 5, which is the outstation, is the best job anywhere. Yeah,
outstation.
Absolutely the best.
That's my spot.
That's Lieutenant Rufrano, Outstation 5. How can I help you?
Who were some of the bosses? Do you remember who your bosses were that you really enjoyed working for? Who taught you the job?
Oh God, yeah. My first captain was George Scranton. They called him the Book because he knew everything. He was the book of knowledge. I worked for a lot of great guys over the years. John Patry and then Billy Abbott. Billy Abbott ended up being chief of department. The chief that I came on under, Chief William Johnson, they called him Wiggy. Wiggy Johnson was, one of the last of the great smoke eaters. He's an icon in the fire service where we came from. And, I always said, we would go training. We'd be standing in a parking lot somewhere. Everyone would be screaming at us, "Where are you from?" And I said, "Well, I'm from West Haven, Connecticut." And they go, "Oh, you one of Wiggy's boys?" Yeah. You can see they all stood up a little straighter and he was an all Marine colonel. I mean,
was he?
Wow. Yeah, he was really something. He was a man to work for, that's for sure. But he commanded that respect from people, and they stood up a little straighter, and
Is he still around?
Didn't even know they were doing it.
Is Wiggy still alive?
No, unfortunately, passed away a couple of years ago. He was our first department historian. I'm the second.
That would be great if you whispered to somebody, "I'm with Wiggy." Shit, he's Wiggy.
Oh, so he took kind of you're in his shoes now, basically.
I am. They're big shoes.
Wow.
Big shoes to fill.
Oh, wow.
Big shoes there, baby.
Yeah, he was always the unofficial historian. I mentioned before the show, his father was the chief, so he goes back generations of, seeing stuff with his own eyes. It was amazing. He would come out and tell stories to us, show us old black and white photographs, and it was a firsthand tale. He didn't say, I was standing on a corner when this happened. We used to have an amusement park in our town called Savin Rock, and it was all made of wood. It would burn spectacularly every few years. Some of the greatest fires ever, long before my time. But he was there for it. His father was the chief. He'd throw him in a car. They'd drive down there, and he'd tell us the stories about it. And it was just amazing to hear him talk.
Is it gone now? Finally burned down?
Oh, they tore it down at the end of the '60s, I think.
Oh,
it got dilapidated, and that was the end of it.
So when you're working on stuff, when you're looking through stuff, you see things that he's done already. Like you see his initials on something, or do you see his work? Yeah.
I got a lot of his son's on the job. His son's deputy chief now. He and I went to school together at the same age, and when Wiggy passed away, he started cleaning out his father's closet and his office and whatnot, and the amount of stuff is just staggering. Boxes of photographs and old helmets and memorabilia. It's got the whole history of our department. It went back.
I was going to say it's all West Haven.
Yeah,
that's cool.
What year did that department establish?
1888.
That's pretty early, man.
Yeah.
How many fire stations back? I presume it was all volley back then.
It was all volunteer, yeah.
Right. How many stations do they have? Any of those buildings still around?
Yes, West Haven Hook and Ladder, actually, their building goes back to 1894. It's still there.
What is it now?
It's still a fire station.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's getting kind of beat up because it wasn't built for, motorized apparatus. It was all hand drawn or horse drawn back in the day. And it's got a basement. So putting the big heavy trucks in there, it's not doing anything.
Probably got the lolly columns in there and shit.
Oh yeah, down there where all the card tables in the bar used to be.
Allegedly.
Perhaps, probably. Real quick, somebody pointed this out. I'd like to thank Rich Decker for doing so, as well as Brian Elliott, who passed along this information to me. Our current tower ladder, truck 22, is a Pierce Ascendant. So that's our current. I had a feeling it was a Pierce. I didn't want to state it because I didn't want to be incorrect. But thank you to Richie and Brian who are watching tonight. It's a Pierce Ascendant, truck 22. And again, like I said earlier, a very beautiful rig. Beautiful rig.
Beautiful.
Just to not put too much of a point on it, they bought that after I was retired, so that's why.
Oh, they always do that. What was it? Just we were talking about the old. What's the other one? How many is the other building still around?
No, there's a firehouse on Spring Street that's still volunteer, but that goes back. That's in the 1930s, I think, and our headquarters was from 1959. So the only thing left that goes back to the 1800s is Hook and Ladder's building. It's my ambition to get a couple $1 million and make a museum out of it, but I'm just having trouble getting a couple $1 million.
All right, guys, start with the super chat. We raised a lot for. Let's get some money for Bill. Let's get some money for Silly Willy. Oh!
There you go.
Oh, I would like to buy it and make it a house, bro. Wouldn't that be cool?
So how often?
Fly house?
On a daily basis, how often are you doing stuff with the historic thing? Like, how often are you doing it? Every day? Are you doing it whenever you time?
I go in there 3-4 times a week, maybe. I just did a presentation over the weekend on Saturday. Actually, Mike was nice enough to come down and videotape it. So I did a presentation for talking about the historical library. And also we have a ladder wagon that was built by our volunteers in the 1890s. It's a model, a scale model of their hand-pulled apparatus that their kids used to pull in parades. And I had pictures of it. And it was missing for 120 years. We figured it just, somebody threw it away or it was lost to time. And I stumbled upon it at a collector's house in his basement. And we took it and we had it refurbished. So we just got it back at the beginning of the year. So it's quite the story. If you guys had a couple more hours, I'd tell you the whole thing. We got it refurbished and it's beautiful. And I told the whole story on Saturday. And actually, I shout out to Jason Patton. I know he was on the show. I put my flyer up, and he saw it on Instagram, and right away he said, Firehouse Coffee would like to send coffee to your event, and they did. So I called it Coffee with the Historian. And
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, they sent me coffee, so it was really great.
Well, Hef, listen, I know we're not going to tell the full story, like you said, because it was in deep detail, but we're at about 43 minutes. So there's time if you want to hit the key details of that story, as you talked about in your presentation, because, listen, it really is at the end, a heartwarming story. It didn't start out that way, but it had a nice conclusion. So feel free to hit on those details if you want right now, because we got time.
All right. I'll do the Reader's Digest version, but
okay.
The James Graham Hook and Ladder was a company in the 1800s. So the only company that doesn't still exist to this day. They went out of business in 1902, and the members of that company built this model wagon for their kids, and they would pull it in parades and at conventions, and they were pretty well known for it. And I was at a collector's house, and I was talking to him. He's a friend of mine, and we were making a deal on some memorabilia or whatever. And we got talking about the James Grahams, and I said to him, how do you even know who they are? You're not from West Haven. And he's a volunteer in a neighboring town. And apparently when these guys went out of business in 1902, they sold their actual apparatus to the East Haven Fire Department. And that was their first piece, their first piece of apparatus. And he had a picture of it. And on the bottom, it said, bought from the Grahams of West Haven. And the James Grahams are kind of a hobby of mine because when they disbanded, they took all their stuff with them. So we don't have the records. We don't have any of that stuff. I'm always looking for newspaper articles and information on them. So then I said to him, it's funny. they actually made a model for their kids, and he gave me this funny look. He says, "I want you to come downstairs in my basement for a minute." And I went
Come
downstairs.
on.
Well, no.
Oh.
we go downstairs, and of course, his basement's like a museum. It's full of stuff. And in the corner, there's this thing that looks like a pile of firewood. And it turns out it's the ladder wagon. It was broken in half. It only had 3 wheels. But he had all the original ladders and the stuff that went with it.
How big is this thing?
It's about 8 feet long.
Oh, it is that big. So the guy, I was gonna say, how'd the guy have it in his basement?
Yeah. So I mean, it's not a model. I mean, it's the fully functional ladder wagon, but it's a scale model of the real
Right.
thing.
You know what's crazy is you could have been in that guy's house and walked out of there and not even realized how close you were to that thing.
Absolutely. And listen, I'm probably the only guy in the world who would have recognized that thing for what it was, because nobody knows who the James Grahams are. It's just one of my hobbies. Even the guys in my department have never heard of them. They went out of business 120 years ago.
Right.
So we got it from them. I convinced my commissioners to buy it, and I sent it up to a guy named Andy Swift in Maine at Firefly Restorations, and he had it for a year and a half, and he put it all back together, and I had pictures of it. I actually had pictures of the kids, and when I was looking around for somebody to do the restoration, somebody mentioned him, and they said, "Listen, you could call him, but he's not going to do it. I mean, this guy does real museum pieces and horse-drawn steamers and all kinds. He's got the Lady Washington hand pumper from Manhattan from 1835. He's restoring all these things. He's like the best in the business." So I sent him an email, and I sent him pictures of the kids pulling the thing in a parade, and he called me on the phone. He didn't even email me back. It's Bill, Andy Swift. I said, "Hey," he goes, "we have to do this job. I just talked to my people. They can't wait to work on it." I'm like, "No way."
Really?
And he said, "Bill, the kids sold it. It's seeing those kids pull that thing. We have to do it." And he did. He did a fantastic job. I mean, he took those pictures apart and he found all these details I didn't even see.
How much of it did he have to improvise, and how much was there? Did he have to? Was the whole thing intact?
A lot of it was there, but we had to replace lanterns. There's little lanterns on it. There's a parade lantern that goes on top. He says, "My friend Sotomayor's a metal spinner." So I said, "What's the metal spinner?" He goes, "He's going to fabricate the lanterns and the torches, the parade torches." I said, "Oh." He goes, "We got to do it quick, though. He's 86. I don't know how long he's going to last."
I say that a lot to a lot of us.
Actually created these, the lanterns and the miniature parade torches and 2 small little extinguishers that went on the side.
What year is this, Bill? What year is this that you found it?
It was made in the 1890s.
Now, what year did you find it in the guy's basement?
Probably 2019.
And then he got it back to you when?
Just this past December.
Oh, wow, man. You should have sent pictures of that, bro. That would be great. Mike, find that on the internet, will you? Come on. Do your job.
I'm looking, forgive the background noise. I'm looking right now to see if we can find James. And it was in your presentation too, which again, the story behind it, I'm glad you got into it because I'm like, we have time and we should hear about it.
That's
small
worth
world.
everything right there, man. Doing something like that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's so many guys who collect this type of memorabilia. Like,
listen, the thing went from being like I said, almost a pile of firewood. It's now a priceless museum piece, really. And then not just that, but it's even more priceless to us because it's ours. Our guys made it.
Right.
This is my captain, Jacob Urban. Thanks for watching, Cap. I appreciate it. Hope all's well. Did the James Grahams have a fire dog? He wants to know. LT.
I don't think so. I don't think so. Let me see if I can find it.
Where is the piece now, Bill?
It's actually in a firehouse on Spring Street. I got it. It's got a special crate that it goes in. And
Spring Street where?
Parade now?
In West Haven, I believe, in Spring Street, we have that, and we have a couple of spares too. We have an antique that we bring out for parades and whatnot. But that one, yeah, I mean, and also, also one thing that I think we should touch on at some point when it's appropriate, Bill, is those helmets we were able to get a hold of too, besides the James Graham, because those helmets were going to get lost or were going to get sold, but you were able to get them back. So I know, I think you're looking for the picture right now of the hook and ladder.
I was, yeah. I thought I had one right on my phone, but.
It's in your presentation. I'll try to load it in later if I can. But there's also the story of the helmets if you want to touch on that too.
Oh yeah, we're always looking for stuff, and I travel in a lot of circles. Memorabilia collectors, badge collectors, old fire department apparatus, and I'm members of. I belong to the New York City Fire Museum, We have a couple of historical societies in Connecticut, and I'm the West Haven guy. And everybody has their niche. My friend Steve's the New Haven guy. My friend Brad's from Albany. Gary's New London and Hartford. You know, everybody has their little circle of expertise, you know. So when something pops up, we call each other. And I got this phone call. It's, listen, there's an auction in Vermont, and they have a whole bunch of stuff from your department. So I went on, I looked, and sure enough, there was two of these white Chief helmets. They're old Carnes 5As from about 50 years ago. And they belonged to Chief Howell, who was chief from 71 to 81 in my department. So I got a hold of the guy. I was in Los Angeles at the time. I said, listen, you know, you're going to have a thing online for this? He goes, Bill, I'm in a VFW in Mayberry. I'm in East Podunk, Vermont. There's no online here. He goes, you can call on the phone. So I did a phone thing, and I was bidding on these helmets, and of course the call drops. So by the time I called back, they were gone.
Oh, that sucks.
I told the guy, I said, listen, can you give the guy who bought the helmets my number? I'll buy them from him, you know, or what, I'll make him a deal. And of course, the guy never called me. So about a few months goes by, I get another call. Hey, those helmets are on eBay. I'm like, no way. So I go up on eBay, and the auction's gone. So I get a hold of the seller. I said, what happened? He goes, oh, I sold them privately. Somebody contacted me. I'm like, damn it, twice. So now the third time it happens again. And my friend Steve calls me and he says, I know who's got the helmets. It's this guy in California. He's a friend of mine. Here's his number. I said, okay. So I called him and I ended up making a deal with the kid, and I got the helmet. And as I'm going back and forth with him, you know, I had an introduction. I told him how I'm the historian of the department, and he's being a little standoffish, you know, and we're trying to negotiate a price. And he finally says to me, he says, listen, how do we even know you're the historian? I'm like, oh, all right. He thinks I'm scamming him and that I'm going to try to get a deal on these things and make a profit on them.
Right.
When I was sworn in, they put my picture on the front page of the paper, big article. So I sent that to him, and his attitude changed like 180 degrees, you know, because in our circles, the collectors, if you're a historian or if you're a curator, you're kind of an important guy, you know, you command a little bit of respect. And he was actually very happy. We made a deal, and he found a second helmet for me, knew where it was, got that, and I got both helmets. And they're cool. In our collection now, or my collection, until I get reimbursed for them, I guess.
I was going to say to you, like, do you have your own private collection of stuff that you collect too?
Oh, I do, yeah.
Like, what are some of the stuff that you collect?
If you look over my shoulder, over there,
one, yeah.
I collect fire badges.
Badges from just West Haven or from all over?
I concentrate on West Haven, New Haven next door. I got some old New York stuff, a lot of Connecticut stuff. But the two cases that are on my wall here in the office, I've got a badge from each state in the United States. I got one from every state.
Oh, that's pretty cool. What other stuff do you collect besides badges?
Well, anything that's West Haven. You know, like I said, my focus is badges, but I've got some parade belts. I have some helmets. You know, a lot of memorabilia. My historical library that I'm in charge of, you know, we've got 10,000 photographs going back to the 1800s, documents, and we keep track of all the stuff that happens currently, you know.
Right.
Any of the newspaper articles, stuff that goes on, we download and save those in our archives. And
so you can't do nothing. You can't do nothing like with the mayor of this. You know, like maybe they have a building that they would donate to, you know, start a museum or something like that.
Well, we had what was called the Savin Rock Museum, and that focused kind of on that amusement park that I told you about.
Right.
But we had a firehouse at the amusement park, Savin Rock House. And we had our own little room full of fire memorabilia in there. And they're in the process of tearing that building down and building something else there. So we moved everything into storage. We do have another spot. We just need to do some work to it and move a couple walls and that type of thing. So the city did give us space.
All right, that's good.
The department's going to take a little larger role. It's going to be like half fire department and half amusement park stuff if I have my way. Which
right.
I usually
do. You know, funny.
They're going to tear down the old firehouse?
No, it was a city building. It was a conference center, but it kind of run down. We had a spot in the basement. It was it was kind of one of those things where you can go in from two different sides. It was like a duplex. So like you walk straight into the basement on one side, straight into the first floor on the other side. So we had the front, the basement part for the museum.
You know what's funny is since we started the podcast, now I get guys will message us, either on Instagram or something, Facebook, and they'll say, "Hey, listen, I don't know if you want to get in touch with the firehouse, but let's say 58 engine, there's a fire helmet on eBay for sale from the FDNY, right, guys? So then I'm like, all right, so then I'll look it up quick, and then I'll call the firehouse. I'll be like, I don't know who the guy is. I'm like, hey, dude, listen, somebody just messaged me. I used to work on the job. I just want to let you know there's a 58 fire helmet. Take it for what it's worth. I don't know if you guys are interested in buying it for the house or whatever. Just I don't know whose it was. It's just on eBay if you're interested. And every once in a while, the guy will text me back, or I'll swap numbers with the guy, and he'll text me back, say we bought it, or it already sold. But by the time I get in touch with the guys to get it, sometimes there's not much time. You know what I mean? Sometimes there's only a couple hours left or whatever. But
I get calls all the time that something's on eBay. But even at that auction in Vermont, it was the chief's daughter put all this stuff. She must have been cleaning out the attic or something. And, he passed away a few years ago. It's like, why didn't you just call me? My father-in-law was his deputy for years, I'd met her. I can't say I'm friendly with her. She lived in Vermont, but it was just call the firehouse. Well, if you need money, we'll buy the stuff from you. We'd rather have it. Bring it home.
Yeah,
we say, in the collecting circles, we want to bring our stuff home.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we're going to do a show on with I don't know if you know the guys from Capital City who restore the fire helmets. What part of Connecticut are they from, Mike?
Hartford. That would be Hartford.
The Hartford.
The Shapiro family.
The Shapiro family.
Oh, Shapiro's?
Yeah. So I brought my father's helmet, which had a giant chunk of the leather out of it, to restore it. We did a whole show on bringing it to them, and they're going to film how they restore the helmet. But when I brought it to him, my dad got on in 1960, but he told me that helmet was from like 1930, I guess, by something inside. Like, how could that be? But he said that sometimes when guys would turn their helmets, they would recirculate the helmets. I don't know if you know anything about that. Is that true, or have you ever heard of that?
Well, I know, like, recently, I say recently, the past few years, like, you can't hand your stuff down anymore. It's got a shelf life, 10 years and out. Doesn't matter if it's in the bag, brand new. And they started doing that with helmets. And especially some guys on your job, it's like, listen, I'm wearing my grandfather's helmet. You're not taking this friggin' helmet. You're not giving me a new one. So right. I guess they kind of got grandfathered in, so to speak. But a lot of guys would wear their father's helmet or some relative's helmet.
Right.
Our helmets are, I've still got my helmets hanging on the wall in my office. You don't give that to anybody. I mean, you can't now. I mean, unless you're brand new or something, and then
right.
Rookie, when they got rid of the leather, only been an officer with a new helmet for a short time. But I mean, you're not going to wear somebody else's helmet unless it was your dad or something.
Yeah. When they went to the fiberglass helmet, did you turn your leather one in?
I
bought mine. So that was always mine. So I never had to buy it back. It was mine. I used we had gotten the check for that helmet. I think I was one of the last classes that actually bought the helmet.
Right. So I'm saying when they switched over, did you ever go to the
I didn't do it right away. I didn't do when I first got the plastic. I ended up getting the plastic because they could tell if you never picked up the plastic. So I would get a letter, the chief would call me, the whole deal. And so I went and picked up the plastic, and then I had my new front shield. That's why I have two helmets with two front shields. So I bought a plastic for a while. Then I went back to the leather. But I'll tell you what happened was, I guess after I stopped using the leather for a little while, it fit on my head a little different,
Yeah.
And the plastic helmet was so comfortable. And then by that time, everybody was using the plastic. Everybody was using the brand new stuff anyway. So it didn't, I kind of felt like it fit perfect. You could ratchet it back on the mask real fast. I wouldn't lose my helmet. I never wore the chin strap, but the ratchet was pretty good.
Right.
And, then I just went. It was only like 2 years that I had the plastic anyway.
I know Cons had that machine that they used to measure your head when you got into the job, and the thing would fit. Because I put my father's helmet on, and it wouldn't. I could bend over that way, and it wouldn't fall off my head without a chin, nothing, no ratchet, no nothing. It was fit perfect to my head.
I started. We had the round Carnes helmet with the flip down visor. We went to the Ben Franklin style or New Yorker style. and a couple of guys went out and bought leather helmets on their own. And I got the composite one. It's like, first of all, the leather helmet weighs like 10 times more.
Oh my God.
It's like you can't move your head, your neck hurts. And the other thing was, one of the guys got his helmet stolen. It's, oh, look, your leather helmet. Somebody ripped them off.
What?
Disappeared out of the fire.
Dude, you lose your helmet now, it's like $2,000.
Oh, yeah. So it's not.
If you could get one, right? We talked to guys who sell helmets. They're so backlogged. They're like a year behind. You can't even get a helmet anymore.
Big business. Big business. Before we continue, just to tie up a loose end from earlier, I was able to find the James Graham hook and ladder because this was in an article courtesy, I believe, the New Haven Register, just to confirm if it was the Register. No, actually, West Haven Voice. I stand corrected. That was able to also take photos of your presentation. And here it is. This is the old hook and ladder that we were able to get in our collection.
That's cool.
Imagine riding jobs on that bad boy.
Dude,
And
that's
also,
incredible, man.
and also, this is our new
the Green
22.
Lantern. The Green Lantern.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Andy Swift was excited. He called me. He said, I found a Green Lantern. So again, even though I'm a historian, I said, what's the significance of that? He says, it's ladder company. Before electricity, when you stood out in the street back in the 1800s, the chief would look down at nighttime, and if you saw green, he knew it was ladder. If you saw a red lantern, it was an engine, and blue was hose. Of course, I'm pretty old, but I always had electricity when I worked, so we didn't have to worry about that.
And,
I can't even imagine what that would cost to restore.
I was just gonna ask that, Roof. What can we throw those? Can we divulge that number?
You're looking at about $20,000 right there.
Wow, just to restore it, huh?
Yeah.
It's a lot of work, man. It's a lot of work.
Because he had it for a year and a half, but I mean, it's just the quality of the work he did, and he antiqued it. It's beautiful. It's absolutely.
Well,
we had most of the parts, but he had to fabricate one of the brackets for the ladder was missing or broken. And, the guy who made those torches and the parade light that's on the top, he fabricated those from scratch.
If you wanted to sell that, what could you sell that for, Bill? If you wanted to sell it tomorrow,
if I wanted to sell it, I'd never sell it.
No, if you want to,
you couldn't put a price tag on it.
No,
I have no idea. A lot more than 20,000. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I would say so, no doubt.
Listen, if you go to fire museums, it's pretty popular to find a scale model, either of a hand pumper or some kind of apparatus like that. From back in that time period.
Yeah, we have two of them in the FDNY at the Rock. I know that.
I think they got more now. They have two in the. They have 2 or 3 in the auditorium, and then they have like 2 in the hallway now. They added a couple.
Yeah, but I found a newspaper article, and it said, it talked about that. I said that the guys made it by hand. And the members of the company did it on winter nights and all that stuff back in the day.
That's cool.
That's insane.
Drinking a couple of points, maybe. You know what I'm saying, Mike? A couple of points.
Keep warm somehow.
You got to stay warm.
Of course. And to tie up another loose end from earlier, and I do want to get to some pictures of some jobs that you were on, Hef. This is our Truck 22. This is a new one that we got not too long ago. And again, beautiful rig. I got the chance to ride on it. Not the jobs, but just around a few times.
I know that's not the outhouse there.
No, that's headquarters right there. Best place to work. Love.
That's where you work, Mike?
Mm-hmm. And I love coming to work every day, man. Or the days that I'm there, man.
You live in West Haven?
Me?
Yeah.
No, I'm in New Haven. But I'm 10 minutes from the firehouse. I'm like by highway, I'm 10 minutes, and even without the highway, I'm only about 15 minutes from the firehouse. So
how'd you get that job again?
It may have something to do with this show. Just saying, allegedly, perhaps. But the pictures I wanted to get to, amongst many others, is a lot of roof ops here, of course. And this picture was the thumbnail. So, Hef, you can take us through each job because we didn't want to let this podcast pass without talking about fires, of course.
The jabs.
The jabs. What's going on here?
That was a transmission shop fire. It's on the corner of David and Forest. It doesn't mean anything to you guys, but that was a hot August day, probably the hottest day I ever worked. And fire got into it. Where I'm standing is the front. It's almost like the where you go in to stand at the desk and do your business with the people. And in the back is where they actually did, they worked on cars and transmissions and stuff. And it got up in the roof, and we were up there. My friend Joe Giaquinto was with me at one point. We were cutting holes in the roof. That you can see the bucket behind me. That's actually Allingtown's. Allingtown's one of the districts in town. They came in mutual aid, and we used their bucket truck. But it was a hot day. It was really hot. Guys were dropping from the heat and dehydration. Just the funny thing about this particular fire is this was in 2009, I think, and it was right about when social media was making its big debut. And this was the first time that we had real-time photos and videos. And my son had just turned 9 years old. I think it was his birthday, actually. And he was watching this either on television or on his computer as it was happening. And we'd never had that happen before. It was always see the pictures afterwards or wait till the news, But because of, Facebook and that type of thing at the time, and that kind of almost changed the way we did things because, God forbid disaster struck and my kid's watching me on TV.
Yeah.
But, I never knew till I got home. It was, Daddy, I saw you on television. I'm like, when? Just now. It's impossible. But
the building still there?
We're watching in real time.
Is the building still there?
Yeah, as a matter of fact, it is.
Good. All right. Good job.
We did good there. We did good.
Yeah, you want
to good.
And then we got this one.
That's that house was down right across from Long Island Sound on the water. You can see it was kind of boarded up. And I think at one point we put sensors inside this house for the NFPA or somebody. And we ended up burning it to the ground on purpose. Yeah. But so I was up there pulling the boards off to get it going.
What do you mean? This was a controlled burn, like a practice thing?
Yeah, we were doing. They were doing some scientific study on some. I don't remember exactly what kind of sensors we put in. See how hot it got, or something like that. But that was pretty much a controlled burn. That one.
I got you.
Unlike Canada, it didn't have the consequences that Canada had with a controlled burn, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
We won't talk about that. Shout out to our friends in Canada. And then, of course, there's the third photo. What's going on here, Hef?
I was putting a new roof on my house and disaster struck. Trying to think where that was. That might have been down in the Haven, Mike. The Haven is they were tearing a bunch of houses down for redevelopment. It's kind of a very long, sad story, but the funny part about that's me with the red helmet on there. I was a lieutenant, and all of a sudden, all this smoke started pouring out, and we're like, "Where the hell is the smoke coming from?" And I was leaning against the spotlight. Someone turned a spotlight on it, caught my turnout pants on fire.
Sounds lovely.
Burn it up.
Lou loves cutting holes in peak roofs, right, Lou?
I don't mind it. Just when
that's
there's
our stock.
Now he's changing his mind all of a sudden. Look at him.
No, that's not true. I'm not changing my mind. But if you have 8 guys show up to the fire and 7 of them are on the roof, then I have a problem with it.
Right. And no windows are taken. That's even more of a problem.
Huh?
And no windows are taken.
Yeah. I mean, nobody takes any glass.
I just like busted his balls. I got him, Mike.
Listen, we had a time where it was like taboo to break a window.
I know.
Really?
It's like, oh my God, who broke that window? And I worked with a firefighter named Keith Posner. And Keith was a very unimposing man. He was kind of a straight man and very, stoic. And we had a bad fire in the house and we're crawling around. Andy Bennett was with us, Mike. You're Lieutenant Bennett before he was Lieutenant Bennett. We're crawling around. We can't find anything. Smoke's down to the floor. So I turned to Posner and I said, go into the living room and break every fucking window you can find. And if anyone says anything to you, you tell them, Lieutenant Heffernan told you to break every fucking window you can find. So he does. And we go, we find a fire. It was in the basement. We found our way down, put the fire out. So we're having a critique. And my nemesis was the deputy chief at the time. And he was running the critique even though he wasn't at the fire.
Ooh.
And he's like, who broke the living room window? Who broke the living room window? And Keith Posner says, that was me, deputy. He goes, why did you break the picture window in the living room? He said, Lieutenant Heffernan told me to break every fucking window I could find. Nobody knew what to do.
What? They had a problem breaking windows? Really?
It's like there was a thing for a while. I was like, don't break the windows. I'm like, the window cost 10 cents. The insurance company is going to buy him a new window whether we break it or not. It's all melted and shit. I said, I can't see. I need you to ventilate. Ventilate, break the window,
I don't understand it.
But
I get it.
that was the thing for a while. Yeah.
I
Don't
love
break
breaking
the windows.
windows.
Okay.
Well, I understand going up there. You're not going to run up there and break every window if you don't have a line in operation or anything. But
No, but we could.
at the same time, if you're searching and you're far from the fire, you got to break the
We
glass.
couldn't find a way down to the basement. The
Yeah,
homeowner sent us
what are
through
you
the back
doing?
door. It was the wrong way to go, but we didn't know that.
What are you doing?
What? I never know what you're doing up there. How'd you like the red helmet?
Me?
Yeah.
Red helmets are great. Everyone knows who you are.
Right. That's a good way to stand out, right?
It's a good identifier.
You could
I
either
gotta
do
take
that,
a
or you
picture of
could
the outhouse.
maybe you could poke a chief in the chest, and he would know who you are too, right? Right.
Did that a couple times.
See, I knew Bill was one of those guys,
always
bro.
taking shots at me.
Well, I love you. If I didn't do it, you would know I wouldn't love you. What do you got, Mike? You got something?
We got a picture. I didn't mean to interrupt. My apologies. We got a picture here of the outhouse in question. This is Five's headquarters, right? I got this right, Heifer? Am I not?
That's the one, Stephen Heights.
Yeah. Stephen Heights. There you go. And also in our district, there's Engine 25 there.
That's the
Which is great.
outhouse?
Yep.
Look at that.
Oh, that's my place.
Dude, that's his home right there. It's either Greenwood Lake or the outhouse. That's what I'm saying.
Easy setup. You got guys on the engine, like Hef said earlier, about 3 guys, and we see them on the chart too. And they're not too far from us, Hef. They're about 5 minutes from headquarters. Yeah, short ride on over. They got to fly over and help us out on jobs they can. Really, and a lot of the guys that work there also work at us, the headquarters too.
We have our own area of response, and it's a lot of apartment buildings and stuff. So they say, "Oh, go up to," we call it up on the hill. Go up on the hill. There's nothing to do. I said, until something comes in, and you're the first one there.
Mm-hmm.
And the only
you
one
have to know it's not just a three-story wood house. It's where's the connection? Where's the panel? Where's
Right.
Some of them still have the old hose closets in them. The standpipes, and you have to know your area. So it's still a great place to work. You're in charge.
So it looks like you did almost 27 years in the paid.
Yep.
27. Why'd you retire? It was just time, or?
I always said I wanted to do 30 years, but COVID reared its ugly head.
Oh,
And I
right.
was flying back and forth to Los Angeles to work on a show, and California turned red. It was a red state with COVID. And what happened was my department had a policy where if you returned from a red state, you had to quarantine for 14 days. So I went out to California for a week. I come back, I got to take 2 more weeks off, but I can't use my sick time because I chose to go to California. So I didn't have enough time to do the quarantine, go back. I flew back and forth 3 or 4 times during the season, and so I was kind of out of luck. And I tried to get time off. I tried to take non-paid leave, and there was just no way I could do it. So I just put my papers in. I had enough time, and I called my chief, Jimmy. He and I have been great friends for years. I called him from the airport. I said, "Listen, I'm coming home from Los Angeles, and I put my papers in." He said, "Yeah, right." He hung up on me.
Let's call back.
I called him back. I said, "You don't believe me?" He goes, "Well, because we're kind of two jokesters, and we've known each other so long." But I did. I put my papers in, and then I just went back to Los Angeles for the next 3 months and filmed. So that kind of made my decision for me. I was all maxed out in my pension, and there was really no reason for me to stay.
Right. So
one thing I did want to ask you about, if I could just interject here real quick, Coobs, because we didn't touch on this earlier, and we could touch on, of course, some of the other stuff that you've done. You did go down to ground zero after 9/11.
Oh,
a
shit,
few of the
right,
other
that's
guys from West Haven. And I think some of the guys were telling me earlier it was you and a few other guys that you can name and you can discuss. So were you working that day of the attack, and when did you and the rest of the crew get down to the Trade Center?
Some of the guys went that night. The night that, on the 11th. I didn't go down until a couple of days later. It was same day the president was there. I think we went down on the 14th. So I think I was on shift. We were still working 3 on 3 off back then. But funny story, our chief forbid everybody from going. Said, you'll be fired if you go down there. And we're like, we have to go. How can we not go? We're right here. It's the biggest thing that's ever happened in the history of history. And of course, there, he's thinking workman's comp and what if you get hurt and all that stuff. So one of our captains called the news and said, I got a crew of guys and we're going down to ground zero to help the guys in New York. And they called my chief for a comment, and the only thing he could say was, I would expect no less of my men. So we went, and then
Got to force his hand. Good.
The deputy chief, some of us were leaving at like 5 a.m. one day, and the deputy chief from a neighboring district was in the parking lot with a clipboard. And I told the guys, listen, your chief's over there. He's writing everybody's name down. You guys are going to get fired. We'll see about that. And when we left, he went with us. Threw a clipboard. I'm going with you.
How long did you go down there for?
I was only down there for like a day. We worked the pile. It's almost.
What did you think? What was your?
It was horrific. It was like nothing I ever saw.
Yeah.
We had a guy named Eddie Burwell who worked in Milford, which is this town right next to West Haven, and he was teaching at the academy. He got a job at the FDNY. I don't know where he was stationed, but coincidentally, we got down there, and I ran into him. He's standing in front of the 1010, and just like he couldn't even talk. Like, Ed, you got to call home. He had to call his house. Nobody even knew if he was alive. So you got to call your family. Call your family, tell me everything's all right. He wouldn't even speak to me. It was just like the 1,000-yard stare, And it was just they had lasers on the Millennium Hotel there, and it would move, and the alarms would go off. Everyone run down the street, and we'd run back. I was with the man who's the chief now, Jimmy O'Brien, and we were in a bucket brigade, and we went up the pile. You kind of shifted around. When we got to the top, there was a couple of New York guys, and they said, we're going over that beam over there. And I guess it hadn't been cleared by the engineers. So we just jumped over this beam, which was the size like a train. And we're down in this hollow, this crater. And there was still furniture and pictures of people's families, all the stuff from the offices. And one guy yelled, I found a saw box from Rescue 1 or something. And all of a sudden, this guy comes up over the top of the beam with a bullhorn. You assholes, get out of there right now. That's it hasn't been cleared. I lost too many guys. I'm not losing anybody else. So what do you think you're doing? And the guys are going, well, there might be somebody down here. Like, nah, get out. And then I saw the guy on Saturday get promoted to I think he was second in command of the entire FDNY. And he looked much better. He wasn't covered in dirt. I think his helmet shield was written in pencil or something at the time. I told Jimmy, I said, listen, we're going to get yelled at somebody. Getting yelled at by the number 2 guy at FDNY is not bad. We're right to the top. So,
what else do you have, Mike, before I dive into the
No, that was it. I wanted to touch on that because, of course, knowing you guys and knowing the toll that the FDNY paid that day. And funny thing is, not funny in the ha-ha sense, but ironically enough, at the watch desk, Squad 41 gave us a plaque about, I guess, a little bit after 9/11, thanking the West Haven Fire Department for their work down there at the pile. So we have it there, Squad 41's logo and all. So a little piece of the FDNY is with us at the West Haven Fire Department,
cool.
which is things we've got.
Very cool.
We thought we were doing something really good, and I went shortly after that. I went to Randall's Island for a seminar, and one of the chiefs was up there, and of course, everybody's devastated by the whole thing. And he got up on stage and he just tore in everybody. We didn't need your help. We didn't want your help. You guys were in the way. And there's people from all over the world there. I ran into guys from San Francisco with the dogs. So I felt terrible. I'm like, maybe we should have stayed home. Jesus, I thought we were going to help. And about 6 months later, I saw the same guy at another seminar, and somebody must have said something to him because he was absolutely, thank God you were there. Thank you for your help. We really needed it and your support.
Yeah.
But it was just, I was like, oh, maybe we do something wrong.
I never heard of that.
We're firemen. We're going down there to give you a hand.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. It was the craziest thing I ever saw.
All right, so I want to jump into here to 2017, actually to present. And for guys who don't know, we were talking about flying back and forth to LA. So you helped create the TV show Tacoma FD, right? And now you serve as technical advisor for all 4 seasons, 49 episodes. Give us a little walkthrough on how that happened. I know your cousin is on the show, right? How did he get involved? How did that whole thing come about?
My cousin did a movie called Super Troopers, and he was firefighter. He was one of the crazy state policemen from Vermont. And when that movie came out, I broke his stones. I said, listen, you're doing a state trooper thing. State troopers aren't funny. You want to do a thing about firefighters. And it became like a family joke every time I saw him. Doing a firefighter movie yet? Are you going to do a state police? And policemen don't tell good stories. Firefighters tell the greatest stories. So about 18 years later, they make Super Troopers 2. Right? And then the whole team gets back together, Broken Lizard, and I start breaking the stones again. And then right as that movie's about to premiere, I get a phone call from him and his partner, Steve Lemmy, at my house. And he says, it finally happened. I said, what's that? We got a call from a man named David Miner out of New York. He wants to do a sitcom on firefighters. I said, that's great. I told you. He goes, can we pick your brain? I said, sure. He goes, tell us some stories. And I went, I couldn't think of anything. So finally, the floodgates opened, and we talked for about 4.5 hours. And David Miner is a powerhouse in Hollywood. They say when David Miner calls, Hollywood picks up the phone. And he did Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Scandal, 30 Rock. I think he's Tina Fey's agent. And so he had a cop show, a lawyer show, a bad guy show. He wanted a fireman show. And he called my cousin and said, let's do it. So I said to Kevin at the time, I said, listen, if anything ever goes on with this, if this gets off the ground, just do me a favor. Put, thank you, Cousin Bill, in the credits. He goes, if this gets off the ground, we'll pay you. I said, if you pay me, I'll come out to Los Angeles. He goes, we'll fly you out there. And they did. And I've been out there ever since.
First class, I hope.
Yeah, that's only for
Wow.
Well,
maybe season 5. We get season 5. I got up my contract to first class. But, they take good care of me. Don't worry. But this is my uniform. I'm the technical advisor. Wears a Hawaiian shirt. Because I say so. Sunglasses. Drives a convertible. And they broke my stone. Something fierce. And we went out to do the pilot. It was February. So I pull up. I'm in a T-shirt. Got my top down. I got the radio going. Everybody's in parkas and wool caps. I said, what are we filming this in wintertime? He goes, oh, Bill, I'm so sorry. It's never this cold out here. I said, dude, it's 65 degrees. I just came from Connecticut. It's -7. Everyone's looking at me like I'm insane. I was like, who's the asshole in a T-shirt? Jesus Christ, it's 65. They're all running like inside. They got their hoods up. They got scarves on. So I had to get used to California when it's cold there. So it's kind of a running gag. They're wearing jackets. I got my little short sleeve Hawaiian shirt on all the time. So
this is the first I heard. I mean, this is the first before this week that I was hearing about this. It's been on for 4 seasons. What is it? Give us a little bit about it. Like what's the story behind it? Where is it happening?
Well, we call it Tacoma FD, and we picked Tacoma, even though it's filmed in Los Angeles, because we did some research. We found out Tacoma is the rainiest city in the country. And the gag is it rains all the time. There's no fires. So you got a bunch of firemen in the firehouse with nothing to do. And you know what happens then? Well, man,
Nothing good.
Nothing good.
Practical jokes and pranks and all this stuff. And the premise is Steve Lemmy is the captain and Kevin is the chief. And that's kind of based on me and my friend Jim O'Brien, who's my chief. They're brothers-in-law. And the girl Harrison, who we spoke about earlier, she's Kevin's daughter on the show. She's the chief's daughter, and she's the first female we got. And coincidentally, as this was going on, we're filming the pilot. My department had just hired their first female, so that was easy to come up with stuff for that, because
right.
Our headquarters was built in '59 by a bunch of guys who just stumbled out of World War II. We didn't even have stalls around the privacy.
A lot of old thoughts in there too.
Oh yeah.
So it was great. So I told Kevin and Steve in the beginning. I said, "Listen, you guys don't know anything about the fire service, but here's the deal: if you're going to do this show, it's a comedy. You have to laugh with the firefighters, not at them. It's not the Three Stooges. You don't want to be making fun of the firefighters.
Right.
These are professional people who, when the bell goes off, do a great job. They just have too much time on their hands and get in all kinds of trouble. So once we established those ground rules, everything just fell into place." And, I work with the writers. I work with those people who decorate the sets and the paint. What color paint do you want on this? The construction people, every department in the place, props. And I work with the actors because they had no idea how to be firefighters,
Right.
Season 4 premieres on July 20th on True TV. Shameless plug. But, in the beginning, there they are, right? Now they've been together so long that it's hard. Sometimes I forget they're not firefighters. They do such a great job, and they've come so far in the 4 seasons that we've done. It's just fantastic.
And it's on True TV.
True TV.
There we go. So we got a Plimo vent from Plimo vent. It actually works. It's real. They put it in for free. But there's there's some of the cast where we're on the apparatus floor, and I'm giving them the lowdown. I don't remember exactly what we were doing at this point. Probably just telling jokes to each other. Season 3. I talk about working with the writers. We called season 3 the season of the apparatus floor because they could not stop calling it the garage. And even Steve over here to the right, he said, "All right, we're going to go out in the garage." I'm like, "You're going out onto the apparatus floor." And then, of course, they break my stones. I call it the garage on purpose. But, you got a bunch of guys who are great at writing, but they know nothing about the fire service. So I had to send them the hierarchy. What's it mean when you're a lieutenant? What's the chief do? They got to pretty much start from scratch. But, now, we got season 4. Hopefully we'll get season 5. We haven't found out yet. Usually we'll wait till a couple of episodes have been aired before they make that decision. But, everybody's right on board now.
Sometimes
What's the one on TV that they butt heads, you guys? What's the one? I don't know. I don't remember the name of it. What's the
what?
The fire show that's on TV.
Chicago Fire?
Chicago Fire?
Chicago Fire.
No, this is a comedy. Chicago Fire is supposed to be. That's with Ciccarello from Chicago.
No, I know.
Chickaritis, right?
Chickaritis.
Saving our lives with fire helmets, right? No.
Yeah, no. This is
Pretty much.
This is a
Pretty
comedy. It's like a spoof.
Yeah.
Well, listen,
Let me ask you a question.
all the stuff we do is real. That's my job. I make sure that
Right.
the lingo is correct. The attire is correct. The stuff that we do. Most of the stories come from me. All the situations they get into, the funny stuff that happens.
Now, the humor of the firefighter doesn't always translate to the normal person. So, because my wife will tell me all the time, bro, hey, this ain't the firehouse. They don't get it.
That's not funny.
So,
yes, it is.
Yeah. Are you able to? Do you have to water it down a little for the average person to get it, or?
Not a lot. I mean, being a comedy, I was told, listen, no one can die. We can't have, a death. We can't do this. We can't do that. So you follow the parameters. But I make sure that everything's as real as possible. Setting up the set, the kitchen, the stuff that you would do, their routines, the shifts. When they change shifts and stuff. Stuff that you don't think about. Great story. Filming the pilot, my wife came out. She's sitting in the chair watching on the monitor, and she says, they're calling Steve Eddie. And I'm like, well, that's his name. He's Eddie Panisi. But they're calling him Eddie. I'm like, I know. That's his character. And then I did a really stupid thing. And I started talking slowly to my wife, which I would never do. She goes, no, he's the captain. I'm like, oh, right. They never call him by his first name.
She knew, bro.
Yeah, but it's something that's so ingrained in us. You don't think about it,
Right.
I'm watching. I'm looking for obscure stuff. The guys in the armchairs are going to say, he'd never do that. And something that big got by me. I had to go back and fix all the scripts. They were calling the chief Terry. And with Steve and Kevin, when they're together, it's Terry and Eddie because they're brothers-in-law. It's like me and Jimmy.
Right.
My chief, we've got that special relationship, but I would never say, hey, Jimmy, in front of the kitchen table,
Yeah, I mean,
we had to kind of and explain that to the actor. You wouldn't call him by his first name. Or why not? Because he's the captain.
You don't.
But something as basic as that got by me, the technical advisor. I never did this stuff before. It was the first guy with the pilot.
I call my brother Chief even when I drove him. Like I wouldn't call him Steve. I would call him Chief because as soon as you walk outside, though, it's shithead, it's dickhead, it's whatever it is. But what about the I don't say the harshness, but the trying to get under somebody's skin? Like that's what firemen are all about. To see if they can get under your skin. Is that portrayed in the show? Like
yeah. We got Andy Maiwani, the Hawaiian firefighter. What did they do to him in season 2? They made him crazy. The same thing. They did all this stuff to him and he got all depressed. And then the chief would say, "Listen, we'll go out and have a drink and talk about it." And the chief would forget, or someone would come up, and Andy'd be sitting all by himself. So we have stuff like that all the time. It's good. We did an episode on peer support. and they want to do this episode. And I said, listen, I'm going to have to watch very carefully. You know, I just got into that myself, but this is cutting edge stuff, and you can't really make fun of it. You can have fun with it, you know, and that's trying to find that
Right.
line, you know. Sometimes you got to be careful. You know, you don't want to, you don't want to step on anybody's toes or you know, the people in the industry, so to speak. You know, you don't want to
Offend anybody.
Well,
Well,
it's not so much offending them, but make light of something that's so important these days. You know, and the same thing. You know, I got into a lot of this peer support and different things right before I retired, and I still do some of it now. But when I was coming on the job, like you guys, you know, you saw something bad, suck it up, kid. Maybe this job's not for you. Go have a shot in a beer, you'll be okay. And that's just how you did it. And you know, I say the same thing to the young guys, and they're like, Jesus Christ, what am I doing? You know.
Yeah.
Later on, I felt guilty. I said, I did that. That's the way I learned. You know.
Right.
And, you know, you got to stop with the PTSD and the different problems that everybody's having with stuff that you see, and you know, it was a big deal. We did a good job on that episode. I was very happy with the way it came out. It was still funny, but it was, you know, we did it in such a way that it wasn't. You weren't making fun of the situation. You were having fun with it. It was very well done.
Now I got to go back and binge watch, Bill.
Oh, absolutely.
You know
We're on
it.
HBO Max. We're on Hulu Plus. I think
You know what it is? That's where HBO Max is where I saw the thing, because I got HBO Max. I knew I saw it somewhere, man. So I'll have to go back and binge watch it there, brother. So how often you flying out to LA now, man?
Well, not now. If we get season 5, I'll go back out and we'll, you know, for the shooting. We usually shoot for about 14 weeks, something like that. So
they'll shoot the whole season in 14 weeks?
Yeah.
That's cool.
13 episodes.
Walked up Firemen to help out.
Just this one.
He's like, you ain't getting into my action, bro.
Just this one. But, yeah, it's funny because I would tell every once in a while I'll get into a fight. You know, I'll get my cousin Kevin. I was, listen, you can't do this. Well, you know, no one will know. I'm like, the guys in the armchairs are gonna revolt if you do this. You know, and you know, and that was always my threat. You know, all the guys, all the firemen and firehouses across America are going to say, you can't do that. Yeah. Now it's better. I say, Jason Patton is going to green screen this show, and I'm going to be pissed. You know, he does to all the other ones. You know?
Oh my God! When I
so funny
for the first time,
but he hasn't done our show because even though we're a comedy, we take some liberties and we can get away with it because we're a comedy. But all of our stuff is what happens in the firehouse every day. You know. Kevin and Steve, after the first season, went on a countrywide stand-up gig. You know, they toured the whole country, and of course, every firefighter in the world went to all their shows. And I had to be careful because they're telling them all their stories. I'm like, listen, you got to use my stories. Can't talk to any of those. But the same thing, they all said the same thing, and I said, you know, your show is what we really do. You know, it's. Sometimes it's a little over the top, but for the most part, it's what happens every day in firehouses across America, and it's hysterical.
Yeah. It is funny, bro. Like there are sometimes I remember laughing in the firehouse at some stuff, and I'm like, "Holy shit, man!" You know, you almost laugh till you pass out. Some of the shit is so and it's just so. The guys have such. They come up with shit that you're like, I can't believe that they came up with something like that. Right?
So
I mean, some of this stuff.
You plan a practical joke for 3 weeks or something.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, Mike, pull up the picture again of the cast. Which one is your cousin, Bill?
All the way to the right.
Okay, and now
That's Kevin.
What do they play on the show?
Kevin's the chief.
Right.
Him is Marcus Henderson. There's Kevin there.
Go back, bro. One sec.
Marcus Henderson, he plays Granny. He's the paramedic. Next to him is Andy Mayawani, which is
he's the Hawaiian guy.
Next to him is Hassie Harrison. She plays Lucy, the chief's daughter, and me, of course. Next to me is Steve Lemmy. He plays Captain Eddie Panisi, who's really me in real life. And then Gabe Hogan plays Ike Crystal. He's the big, strong guy.
You guys all have these cheesy mustaches in the show?
I see it, bro. I was gonna say the meat cheesy mustaches. Look at it.
Listen, you want to hear a great mustache story?
Yeah.
Steve and Kevin don't usually have mustaches, so they grew them for the show. So now I'm at my cousin Kevin's house. We're having dinner. Steve's there with his wife, and he starts complaining, "Oh, my mustache this, my mustache that." Says, you got a mustache. You got a mustache forever. What do you do? I get food stuck in it and soup and all this stuff. And I said, it's good. It's like a snack later on. You chew on it.
It's flavor saver.
So he's like, I always afraid my mustache smells and my wife's not going to like it. I said, listen, just do what we all do, Steve. He goes, what's that? I said, take your toothbrush, put a little toothpaste on it, just brush your mustache, and it'd be minty fresh. And I just left it at that. And he did it. And I don't know how long he was doing it, but the next time I flew out to Los Angeles, he said, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Sure." "You don't really use a toothbrush on your mustache, do you?" I said, "No, nobody does."
Just wanted to see if you were going to do it.
Nobody does that. What's the matter with it?
Nobody does that. But he actually was brushing his mustache. I told him to.
You might be onto something there. You might be onto something.
Yeah, you never know. It's a good idea. It's a whole new line. We could have the
So a new
Firemen
mustache
toothpaste, mustache paste, whatever.
Yeah.
Wax or something.
Somebody was saying, is it, for guys who don't know, is it like that show Reno 911, but in a fire department context?
Sort of, yeah.
Yeah.
I think, excuse me, Reno 911 was almost a spinoff of like Super Troopers.
Right.
They're all
Yeah.
cops. But it's the same, we've got, excuse me, all the stereotypical guys. You got the captain and the chief. You got the big, strong, dumb guy. You got Granny, the paramedic, he knows everything. He's a book of knowledge, Andy Maiwani is the rookie. And then he's not the rookie anymore because Lucy comes on, but she's the chief's daughter. She grew up in a firehouse, so they try to get over on her, but she knows more about the firehouse than they do. And it's kind of like my wife. My wife's father was deputy chief. She grew up in the firehouse. My daughter, my daughter grew up in the firehouse. She's married to one of the firemen on my job now. And the same thing. He didn't come from a family of firefighters. She knows more about it than him, So it's kind of daunting sometimes when your wife knows more about your job than you do.
Dude, I'm amazed at the fact
all the gory details of your job.
Yeah. I'm amazed at the fact that she picked that up about, nobody calls them by their first name. You got to call them by, it's like,
I got she did. I like to say, well, I would have tipped to that eventually.
The funny part is my wife talks to me like that. When I'm saying something, she'll go, "You don't understand what I'm saying to you." Like, oh,
my wife tells a story. She always says, "And then he's talked slowly." Like, yeah, I did, didn't I? That was pretty bad.
What else you got, Mike? Anything else before we do the old school tip of the day?
Nah. I just wanted to give a shout out. Thanks first and foremost to Hef for making time for us tonight. I appreciate it. It's been great. And also to all the guys at the West Haven Fire Department who I know, most of whom are watching right now. I think we did a pretty good job. I think I'll still have a job tomorrow. And just want to say, I know they're going to kill me for this because I'm going to sound really, really corny, but I mean it. I've had the job for a couple of months now, and Hef, you're great to work with. Really, everybody at the department. I was telling my mom the other day, there's not a single guy I dislike. I really love working there.
Give it to him, Ruff.
Never done this before.
I love my job.
But it's great. I really do enjoy the job. So thanks, guys. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Don't forget under here. Mike. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I got the towel right here, so I'll take care of it tomorrow when I go to the house.
At least you got the tie on again. That's good.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on with the tie. And has Mike won the wife beater to work yet?
No.
No, he's getting all swole, man. He's
very
swole.
spiffy. I think it's like I wear the Hawaiian shirt. He always looks like a Wall Street executive.
Well, you
I think he thinks if he dresses up, they'll pay him more. He doesn't know much.
Wearing the guinea tees now, getting all beefy.
Yeah, I'm going to the gym.
Beefy.
Yeah, that's for a different show. We actually, Captain Urban just put something in the chat before we go to the old school tip of the day. He's referencing half the Smitty story.
Which
what he's referring to? Which one?
Story.
I don't know. He just put Smitty story in the chat. You'll
Come
have
on,
to specify.
Captain Urban. Which one? There's too many.
Yeah, apparently. If he puts it in the chat, we can go back to it later. But if you want to get to the old school tip of the day, I guess we can do that now.
We can, but I just want to say, intriguing career, excellent fireman, and I like the whole historian thing and all the things that you collect and you look to collect. And now on with the TV show, you're a well-rounded firefighter, well-rounded human being.
Living a dream.
You are living the dream, Mr. Silly Willie. You are living the dream. Oh,
Silly Willie. Word of the day, folks. Word of the day. And Urban says any quick Smitty story that you've heard. Who's Smitty?
Who's Smitty? Ransford Smith.
Ah, yes, yeah.
Ransford Smith unfortunately passed away He had, I think it was stomach cancer.
Yep, he
eventually.
did.
But he was on the job, and he was just one of those guys that had done everything, you know. And if he did half the stuff he said he did, it was amazing.
You know a guy like that, Ruff.
Yeah, but I mean, it was, you know, I invented gas stations. But you know, he was president of his own ambulance company at one point, and a very well-rounded guy. And he was a gem to work with, and he was funny, and he liked the white women.
Who doesn't?
Who doesn't?
Yeah, so
Mikey,
he was.
right?
We had two guys pass away right in a row. Smitty had got cancer, and he went pretty quick. And our friend Chris O'Keefe dropped dead of a heart attack at 49. He was on my shift, and we were on duty. He was off on vacation, and we all responded. And, at Smitty's funeral and his wake, he had his wife, his girlfriend, his ex-wife, his other ex-wife, his other girlfriend.
The
They were
Gomada.
like a club. They all knew each other, and they were all friends, and they were all in a little coffee circle, coffee klatch, you know.
That's great, bro.
At O'Keefe's funeral, he had his ex-wife, who he was still dating, I think, and his steady girlfriend, and we kind of put them on each side.
What
And
a
then
difference.
the door burst open, and the girl comes in, hysterical. Ah! I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? She says, Chris's fiance, Mary. I'm like, of course you are. We sat her in a corner, and then it happened again. I'm Chris's girlfriend, Andrea. I'm like, uh-oh. It happened like 4 more times.
Really?
Like, we didn't know about these girls. So he had Smitty on one side. Everybody knew each other, was friends. Not so much on the Chris O'Keefe funeral.
Yeah, he was doing another download, bro.
You know, coincidentally, I could talk for 3 hours about O'Keefe's funeral. It was an amazing firefighter funeral with all kinds of crazy stuff that happened. But we based episode 9 of season 4.
Dude, I was just gonna say that to you. You beat me to it, man.
I had to sell that. to Kevin and Steve. I can't have a funeral. I said, listen, there's things you have to have: a golf tournament, a wedding, a parade. You got to have a funeral. It's what we do. You know? Right. So I sold them on it after I told them the very long and involved Chris O'Keefe funeral story. It's hysterical. So you can look for episode 9. It stars me. I will be on. You'll see my ugly mug on television.
You have to get a SAG card for that, bro?
I do. I have one.
Oh,
we can get into all the Hollywood parties now. There you go.
Good for you.
We're hitting the big time
now.
Well,
I'll tell you about my SAG card, though. They sent it to me at the end of March, and I paid my dues, and then I realized it expired the first day of April. I had to do it again. They couldn't just wait and send it to me 3 days later. It was well worth it.
Good for you. So we'll be seeing you.
Smitty was a great guy. He's probably the whitest black man you ever met. He was a prince to work with, and the funny stuff that would come out of his mouth is amazing.
That's great.
He held nothing back, and yeah, we miss him dearly. He's very good friends with Andy Bennett. It was a devastating blow when he got sick.
Yeah. Well, I think it's that time.
Yeah, but before that, though, we'll be seeing you August 5th, I hope.
Yes, right? Both of us.
Yes.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, both of us. You'll be seeing us.
Are you allowed to come? Are you sure?
Yeah. No, I squared it away. I said, hey, listen, it's work. You got to do what you got to do.
All right.
And I'll be down there.
All right. Now it might be that time. You know what time it is? Yes,
it's time for the old school. Let me deepen my voice a little bit. The old school tip of the day. All right, Hef, it's all yours. Let me just make sure the camera pans out to you. Take it away.
I feel like I'm at a horse race. Old school tip of the day. All you young guys out there, go to work. Work your overtime. Work hard. Don't be afraid to come in and do things off duty on your own time. If you ever win the Community Service Award, it's probably the best award we give out. You can win the Medal of Valor and the Medal of Merit. It just means you showed up for work one day and a lot of bad stuff happened. Community service, you have to give of your own time, and you need to go and volunteer and be in charge of something. Join a committee. Get involved in your community. Get involved in your department. Don't just show up for your paycheck. Get in there, work the overtime. It's not just a job. It's not just a career. It's a way of life.
I like it, bro. Very different.
Oh,
Very good.
well done, Hef. Well done.
Mike Cologne, you are correct. All-star guest tonight. Thank you for pulling him out of there.
Oh,
On the last,
thank
and
you.
thanks for coming on the last minute notice,
No problem.
Mr. William Heffernan.
Silly Willie. Oh, is that the
Yeah.
one?
Hey! Hold on. I'm dry though. I'm dry.
There you go.
At
Thank
least
you
got
for having
Gatorade
me. It was a
smart.
great time.
Thanks for
A lot
doing
of
this,
fun.
Hef. It was
I'm
great.
gonna be looking this up now. I gotta look it up.
Yeah. Now you got a couple more viewers here. We'll pass it along. We'll pass it along to our community.
Mhm.
And any other shout outs, Brooke? You got anything, buddy?
No, it was just the Newark guys. That was it.
Well, you enjoy your time up there in Greenwood Lake, buddy. All right. Have a little. What's on when you're there till Saturday?
Yeah, Sunday, I think. Sunday.
Oh, Sunday. The mother-in-law's got to be making eggplant palm one day. I mean, it's got to
No,
be.
she's leaving tomorrow.
Eggplant roll.
Why?
Tomorrow.
She made it today, but I mean the chicken palm. She's not making the chicken palm.
I'm kicking her out tomorrow. She gets 2 days. That's it. What do you think this
That's
is?
all.
Yeah, I can only have. Yeah.
Well, who came up? Gino or the other guy?
Gino came up on Monday. My sister was supposed to come up on Tuesday. My brother-in-law came up yesterday with my mother-in-law, and they're staying till
He
tomorrow.
came up like this, though.
No, he's been getting better. He's better.
Is? Oh,
Yeah.
You know what, Bill? Did you get an invite? I must have lost mine. It's coming in the mail. I don't know what happened. It's only the
Gotta be
upper
on the
crusty
boat.
up. It's
Gotta
only
be on
upper
the
crusty. Upper crusty up there. Yeah. All right, Mike, take us out, brother. Do your thing, whatever it is that you do so well.
All right. Well, here's our outro, the shortened version, all 43 seconds of it, explaining, of course, another great show we did and where you can find us. We'd like to thank you once again for tuning in to the Gettin' Salty experience. As always, if you think we're out of good content, far from it, of course, my friends. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Instagram. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook, the Gettin' Salty fans, and also Gettin' Salty Apparel is on Facebook, too, if you want to follow that page, if you're not doing so already. Audio-wise, iTunes, Spotify, Spreaker, and anywhere else that you may get your podcast, YouTube, the Gettin' Salty experience, where if you subscribe to us, of course, you can click the bell to make sure you never miss a video of ours, whether it be a spotlight on, whether it be a cock lofts and cocktails or a brand new episode with a heavy hitter from the fire service. Be sure to do so. We thank you once again for tuning in to the Gettin' Salty experience.
I like that one version, Mike. Very quick, to the point. Excellent job.
Thank you. Try my best.
All right. And Rufy and I will not be here on Monday again. It's only Thursdays for the month of July. And then we'll get back to when I come back from the Philippines, I think sometime late August or September, we'll be going back to 2 shows a week. But Rufy and I on Monday, 25th anniversary of the creation of the Squad Company party. So we'll be doing our thing. And Mr. William, I appreciate it. Just when I thought I found an interesting firefighter, another one comes along. Excellent job. Excellent
Thanks again,
career.
A lot of us out there.
Stick around, Hef. Don't say goodbye yet. We'll say goodbye off the air.
Yeah.
We'll talk off the air.
Mike, bring some donuts tomorrow or something too, will you? Do the
I'll
right
have
thing.
to.
Tell
I'll
them
have
from
to.
us. Tell them from the Getting Salty boys, will you?
There's a Dunkin' Donuts up the street. I'll stop
I'll
there.
Venmo you tomorrow. Pick it up for the boys. All right.
Remember,
Will
don't
do.
eat donuts. You have to get bagels or something. Donuts.
All
are
right.
so
Bring some
good.
bagels with some
There you
schmear. All
Figure
right.
it out.
Ruff, have fun up there. I'll see you Monday night at the
All right,
party. All right, guys. Until then, stay low and yo.
All right, everybody. We'll see you at the big one.
On behalf of Kevin Kubler, Lou Refrano, and Bill Heffernan, I'm Mike Cologne. Have a great night, and we will see you next time.